regular Chisholm City Council meeting, December 11th, 2024. Susan, would you please take roll call?
Councillor Halverson?
Present.
Councillor McElraha?
Present.
Councillor Foster? Absent. Councillor Hullabut?
Present.
Councillor Baki?
Here.
Mayor Lamb?
Here. All right, council, look for a motion to adopt the agenda. Do have two things in front of you, or one thing in front of you, under Jason, Fire Chief. Number 2, you have a corrected copy of the bylaws. So that will need to be added here, and we would like to remove number 3 under Devon for the fee schedule. Some of that pertained information coming from Mandy, who's not here tonight. We'll just put that under the next council meeting. So with that addition and that change, I would look for a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Travis.
Second.
Thank you, Marty. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Pledge of allegiance, if you would.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, is there any public participation?
Nope.
Okay, we'll move on. I just, when we start the meeting tonight, I'd just like to say that some feedback, obviously with us sharing, some microphones are being scattered about here. Some folks made mention that it was kind of hard to hear everybody. So I just wanted to mention that, and I did let them know that we are sharing a couple mics on the end, but we will roll into council reports. Councilor Halverson. Good evening.
Good evening. I attended a Redhead committee meeting, and that's all I have to report on.
Councilor Baki, good evening.
Good evening. I got a few things tonight. First of all, this is our meeting before Christmas, so Merry Christmas to everybody. Thank you and shout out to our staff for your hard work this year. We've done a lot in this calendar year, and you guys have all been on board with it, so thanks for continuing to be the best staff here in the heartbeat of the range. Polar Bear Days, first mention of that at the chamber meeting this week. That will be in February. February 5th is gonna kick that off with Blue Streak Bingo. So more to come on that. The Holly Jolly put on by Kiwanis is tomorrow, Thursday, at the Discovery Center from 4 to 7. So make sure your families are able to come out and attend that. And then I want to give a plug to the awesome My Town documentary on Chisholm. It was phenomenal. I was lucky enough to be down at the premiere at the Twin Cities Festival, but I've heard tons of good things and compliments about the documentary on Chisholm. I just wanted to thank the council here, Stephanie and the EDA, for allowing Chisholm to be part of that and putting up the funds for it. So again, great documentary and then my hope, and I'm still working with Corey on this. Corey is obviously the person in the film. I'd like to get him to come up to Chisholm and show that film in the auditorium at the school. So that's still, I'm still work in progress on that, but that's all I have.
Thank you, Travis. Appreciate it. I heard Santa's gonna be there tomorrow too.
Yes, yes, he sure will be. Will he be flying or driving or in a cop car? I don't know. To be determined.
He used to come on the truck.
He did, yeah, he did.
Oh, that's right.
Councilor McElraha, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. As my time on the City Council comes to a close, I wanted to take a moment to express my sincere gratitude to all of you. Your support, insights, and patience have made my 4 years on this council an enjoyable journey of growth and learning. I'm so grateful for this experience and all that I've learned from it. I'm incredibly grateful to all of our dedicated city staff. Your hard work and commitment to our community do not go unnoticed. You've all consistently gone above and beyond to serve our residents, I'm thankful to have had the opportunity to work closely with many of you over the years, allowing me to get to know you professionally and even to form a few friendships. To our community members, thank you for entrusting me with a voice on the council for these past 4 years. Your feedback, questions, and active participation have shaped our decisions and improved our community. Thank you for being engaged in making our community a better place to work, live, and play in. I'm proud of what we've accomplished together, from continuing to improve our roads and alleys, to getting the public safety building across the line, to working to find housing solutions, and expanding and improving our parks. We've made a positive impact on not just our city, but also on our region. While my time on the City Council is ending, my commitment to our community will not. I look forward to continuing to be a part of this great city, and I'm excited for my next chapters. Thank you all.
Thank you, Councilor. And I can't say enough how much I appreciate you. Councilor Oliva, good evening.
Evening. I just attended the Chisholm Beautification Association meeting.
Excellent. I have no report. I hope everyone has a safe and happy holiday season, whatever it is that you do celebrate, or just have a nice, safe, and happy, merry December. So, Ambulance Director, Tiffany, good evening.
Good evening. No report.
Fire Chief, Jason.
Just a quick update with us. We've been pretty busy. I think we were at 208 calls so far this year. So we did go over 200. I think it's the first time we've ever done that. We hosted in the new public safety building, the Arrowhead Regional meeting. That went well. Everybody was impressed with the building, and we got a lot of good job, nice layout, everything else. And the final thing is our gear dryer extractor finally came in, so we got that taken apart and put in, and it's all set in. So we just got to make the final connection for that, and that'll be up and going.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Police Chief.
I don't have anything other than to thank you, Cheyenne, for your service.
City Engineer, Mr. Johnson.
Report. Merry Christmas. And again, thank you, Cheyenne. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Public Works, Larry.
It's winter.
Just a reminder to everyone that we do, we had our first significant snowfall, that wet, heavy slush. The ground wasn't quite froze. We did have a couple boulevard year grass that got rolled and stuff, and we fix those every spring, and just like we pick up chunks of pavement. So again, you can feel free to call us and give me a message. It's 254-7920, and then we do have a couple new employees, and it's their first time on an alley route and a truck route, and some of you seem to always get a new employee. I know it's frustrating sometimes, but we'll get through it together, I assure you. But if we forget something, who knows best than you? You're living in that neighborhood, so go ahead and give us a call. It's no problem. And sometimes we're delayed because we have a reason. Besides the snowfall on Monday, we had a water main break Sunday night that the PD alerted me. I came over Sunday night, and we got a plan together. So we plowed all day. We parked graders, and we went and dug on a water main till dark. So sometimes there's a reason we're delayed too. But you're welcome to reach out to us. And with that, thank you to Cheyenne. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Larry. You crew did very well.
Thank you.
City Parks, Trails, Rec, Bridget. Quick update. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Cheyenne, I'm gonna miss you a lot. So thanks for serving in all of the ways that you have. One update is that if we do have another meeting in December, I will have a master plan ready for Redhead to come to this council, which I would love to see it come to this council. So maybe that could happen. And then I did want to give an update that the skating rink has 0 applicants. It's getting flooded thanks to Public Works, but we are still looking for applicants. So please spread the word to the community. And it's ages 16 plus. So, and the hours are flexible, 3:30 to 7:30 on the weeknights and 1 p.m. to 7 on the weekends. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Library Supervisor, Katie.
Hi.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Quick update from the library. We had our Bringing Light to Chisholm event just happened last week. It was a wonderful evening. The weather was great. People are outside enjoying the animals and the bonfires and cooking s'mores on Lake Street. We had 500 people in the library in 2 hours, so that gives you a little bit of a feel for kind of the people that were out there that evening. I'm sure a lot of people didn't show up in the library. So there's a lot going on downtown. We had new businesses that participated this year. The Chisholm Baptist Choir came and sang on Lake Street and joined us for the first time, and they were a huge hit. So just a huge thank you to all the participating businesses and the volunteers that helped create that magical small town experience for our community. Other happenings at the library, we're spending the next couple weeks doing some weeding on our collection and reorganizing some of our shelves to make some new space. Graphic novels are starting to become a huge demand for our community, so we're kind of in the process of figuring out how to fit like a whole new genre into our collection, and so we're just doing our best to stay current with the changing times and meeting the demands of kind of that younger generation. So that's kind of our big topic or big to-do for the end of the year. Other than that, we're just kind of gearing up for the winter reading program. That's going to be starting in February, along with some additional family programming for Polar Bear Days, which is right around the corner. Yeah. So that's it.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you. Well, thank you for bringing light to Chisholm too. It was another phenomenal event.
City Attorney, Brian, good evening.
Thank you, Mayor. I've got just a short update and then an ask for the council. So the update is, at the last council meeting, I had brought along some of the draft complaints for our public nuisance blight properties that are going to be going out. Those are all complete, and we're going to take advantage of a mail service rule that should save the city some funds in getting those served. The ask that I would have for the council is at our first meeting in January or at a meeting in January, would the council be willing to set aside some time either as a work session coming into the meeting or at some time during the meeting to invite those who will be subject of those complaints to come in and give them one final opportunity to address the council and try and resolve those without litigation.
Okay, thank you, Brian.
And I'd ask for maybe about 20 or 30 minutes is all it should take.
Okay. Well, if the council doesn't mind, I think we can put that on our next agenda for, I think we will be having our meeting at the end of the year on that December 30th, so maybe we can schedule a working session prior to our first meeting in January.
Good idea.
I think that's enough time for me. I can get it done.
Okay. Thank you. City Clerk, Treasurer. Thank you. City Administrator, Stephanie, good evening.
Good evening, everybody. As the year comes to a close, I just want to recognize everybody's hard work and dedication. I think we're at one of the record high contracts this year, it seems like, at least. Susan's showing me that we're having to go to a second drawer. So just the hard work that you guys have done, we couldn't accomplish the things that we do here at the city. I want to thank the council for supporting the work that we do, and a special thank you to Cheyenne, and we will miss you. And best of luck.
Thank you. All right, Council, I would look for a motion to approve the consent agenda, which consists of the list of bills, communications, minutes of previous city council meeting, payroll, and overtime.
I will make the motion.
Thank you, Travis.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Any unfinished business? None. Moving on to new business. Ambulance Director Slarson. Good evening.
Good evening. I have a few things to take care of before the end of the year here. First one is just a request to update the paramedic job description. When we added that, we kind of just slapped paramedic on the current job description of EMT. This definitely is a lot more specific, and the only change on the wages that will change from what we're currently doing now is the addition of the $2.50 wage change for an ALS transfer. As of right now, a paramedic actually loses money from their hourly wage when they go on an ALS transfer.
An ALS transfer can consist of a ventilated patient with multiple drips, and they would be getting paid less than their hourly wage for staying in town for taking care of that patient. Seems a little silly to ask someone to do that. So that is the big change. Otherwise, it is just putting an official job description in on what they're already doing.
Okay. Thank you. Frank, quick question.
Yes.
So the ones of us that are on the ambulance service should all be abstaining from this?
Correct.
Okay. All right, council. Unless you have any questions, I would look for a motion to update the paramedic job description.
Make the motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne.
Second.
Thank you, Marty. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those abstaining? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Roll call.
A roll call.
Roll call? Sure.
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor McLaraha.
Aye.
Counselor Halaba.
Aye.
Abstain.
Sorry, abstain, sorry.
Counselor Baki.
Abstain.
And Mayor Lang.
Abstain. Makes it difficult. There's only 5 of us and 3 are out.
Still unanimous.
Okay.
Thank you. The next one is request to sign a proposal with Braun to replace another ambulance. This would be ideally replace ambulance 2. It's a 2011. Currently out of service because we started it today and it is thrown our city mechanic 29 codes because she likes to be like that. So I did a cost analysis, operational cost analysis on this particular ambulance, and it is costing me twice as much as our 2017 to keep it on the road. It has 3,000 less miles on it than our 2017, even though it's 6 years older, just because I can't quite keep it on the road as much as I'd like. We are getting our rural emergency aid from the state on December 15th. Almost half of the price of this new ambulance is going to be getting absorbed by that. And that is not something that we can rely on ever again. So kind of a strike while the iron's hot situation.
Okay, thank you. And this is also budgeted?
Yes.
Yep, sure.
So we also have public safety allocation that will fund the rest of the ambulance, and it's all budgeted for next year. So both of the fundings are coming out of it, additional allocation coming from the state.
Excellent, thank you very much. And yeah, out of service, didn't even know if I was gonna make it to Hibbing today.
Yes, and
Yeah,
on a
it's
day
worrisome.
like today, when it's this cold, to think about the fact you might be stuck on the side of the road with a vulnerable patient, that is concerning.
Hey, Council, unless there's any other questions, I'd look for a motion and support to sign the contract with Braun.
Make the motion.
Thank you, Marty.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Roll call, please.
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor McLaraha.
Aye.
Counselor Halaba.
Abstain.
Counselor Baki.
Abstain.
Mayor Lang.
Abstain. Motion passes. Thank you.
One more request for purchase, another one we'd like to get in before the first of the year, and this goes up another 10 to 20%. This is a LifePak 35, so this is a cardiac monitor, which is a requirement by the state to have in our ambulance. This would be the piece of equipment that does our vitals and also does the 12 lead. This would be replacing a LifePak 15, which is technically expired. And this is budgeted.
Hey, Council, again, unless there's any questions, I look for a motion to order the LifePak 35.
I got one thing to add. It's came with the shipping on this thing.
Right,
That's
and
insane. $645.
Yeah, I agree with you. The majority of the Stryker equipment that we got when we received, because we got a whole package that came with Ambulance 3, it came on its own semi. Seemed to
to be impressive that they got it down the side street there. And then they left it in the back. I agree.
Yeah. Some of these companies too, I deal with all the time. So you buy from us, and this is what we charge you. Right. It gets into a handling fee too, so it's
It's
I'm sure it's very well padded and secure.
It was handed to me, the cut. But yeah, on its own semi that says Stryker on it. It comes out of their warehouse in Wisconsin.
Good. All right, council, I'll look for a motion and support.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne.
Second.
Thank you, Marty. Since we're on a roll here, let's do a roll call.
Counselor Halverson?
Aye.
Counselor McElraha?
Aye.
Counselor Helga?
Abstain.
Counselor Zaki?
Abstain.
And Mayor Lane?
Abstain. Okay, moving on. Thank you. Chief Worthy.
And then what we got is the firefighter wage increases. This was all budgeted for last year. It's been, looked it up, it was actually January of 2016 since our last increase with anything, so it's been 9 years.
Good. If there's no questions, I'd look for a motion to approve the payroll increase.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne.
Support.
Thank you, Marty. Let's roll call.
Counselor Halverson?
Aye.
Counselor McElraha?
Aye.
Counselor Helga?
Aye.
Counselor Zaki?
Aye.
And Mayor Lane?
Abstain. Motion carries. Thank you.
Next up for us would be our updated Relief Association bylaws, which is our retirement benefits. We actually, after doing our audit and everything, we're actually over very healthy fund this year with everything that's going on, so it was recommended that we increase. So basically, the change was from $3,200 a year benefit to $3,500 a year benefit upon retirement, and then a couple typos that Marty found.
Yep. Thank you, Marty.
I was confused.
For firefighters.
You had me, I looked at it, I was like, wait a minute, where'd that go?
So there is a penalty too if you do not increase that. You just keep your account, right? If you don't actually revise that.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's all funded. We split the difference. We're actually overfunded by about double what we're trying to get increased now. So we went conservative so it doesn't come back and kind of bite us at the end of the day. So yeah.
Hey, council, I'd look for a motion to approve the revised bylaws.
Good. I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Travis. Thank you, Jed. Roll call, please.
Counselor Halverson?
Aye.
Counselor McElraha?
Aye.
Counselor Helga?
Aye.
Counselor Zaki?
Aye.
Mayor Lane?
Abstain. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Chief Banner. Vern, good evening.
Good evening, Your Highness and Council. And just a quick note, Travis brought up a good thing. Santa Claus used to go to that event on the fire truck. We have that new truck with the tower. We could put him in the basket, drive him out there, and he could come from the sky, could bungee jump like 100 feet.
I know.
Or parachute in. That might be.
I mean,
sky's the limit.
We made viral in Chisholm.
Reindeer too?
Yeah, well, right. We'll try to scrape some of them up, but yeah, we could really make it a real event, a new event.
Training exercise almost.
There you go.
Moving on.
Yeah, enough of that. So what's in front of you right now is the public safety radio purchase. At the last budget meeting, we had talked about all three departments in the cost, which the council looked at purchasing next year. The cost was $178,000, and I have to give Jason and the fire department found another vendor that had some more radios. Together with Jim Bucat in the fire department, they did their due diligence to go through what they needed to make sure they would work. And after several days of researching and discussing this with the county radio people and everything, these radios will work for us. So instead of that $178,000 purchase, now you're looking at about $66,000 and a savings of $112,000. So we're just looking for approval to purchase that for the 3 departments and upgrade our safety equipment. Great.
Excellent. Well, yes, again, great work, everyone. You know, Justin Olson, you know, following the leads, and Brandon Porter from Solway pointing something in the right direction. So it's a huge savings. So it should definitely help us out. And thank you, and Bouquet. And hey, Council, I look for a motion to approve the purchase of the radios.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne.
Second.
Thank you, Marty. We don't ask for equipment, but we're on a roll under Tiffany, so we're going to be done with the roll call now, I believe. So, all those in favor, unless there's more discussion?
Someone second.
Marty second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson, Jim, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, and Merry Christmas to everyone. I'll try and get through this quickly, and then if you'll excuse me, I'm going to head for home as long as the temperatures are 20 below, and we've got a few miles to go. If you'll turn to pages 100 and 101, we have made the pre-application to receive funding for our 2025 infrastructure replacement projects. We got approval on that and have been authorized to move forward with making a full application, and this resolution 1224-99 is a part of that application. Susan was great in getting together a project narrative, and with this application, we will be submitting that final application or that full application next week. So, and as you note, we are applying for $600,000.
Excellent. Hey, Council, I'll look for a motion and support for resolution 1224-99.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Jed.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. And then if you'll turn to pages 102, 103, and 104, this is the second pay application on our Ice Arena Curling Club application. If you look on page 104, you'll see the work that was completed this period under column E, totaling $118,363. And then in column F, you see what's been completed to date is $484,317.40. And then you see the percent completed on each of those first 3 items. There's no retainage, as you'll see on the design element of it, such that when we get to column K, the retainage being 5% of the items 2 and 3, it amounts to $7,740.91. And then if you'll turn back to page 103, you'll see those numbers. You see the original contract of $5,553,645. That contract sum that we were talking about, work completed to date, $484,317.40. That 5% retainage of $7,740.91. Such that the total earned less that retainage is the $476,576.49, and the previous amount invoiced of the $363,131.64. The current payment due is $113,444.85, and I would recommend that approval of that payment in that amount, and I would be happy to answer any questions if I can, though I know very little about the project.
Council, unless there's any questions, I'd look for a motion to approve pay application number 2 for the Chisholm Sports Arena Complex.
Make the motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne.
Support.
Thank you, Travis? Mm-hmm. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. You get 2 minutes, Jim, if you want to stay for 2 things.
Yeah, we'll get through this real fast. And then on pages 105 and the following pages, you see the application number 9 for 5th Street South. If you go to pages 107 and 108, go to those center columns on the quantities and the amount to date. Those being topsoil borrow, the wearing course surface, and the sodding. That total work completed
during this pay period during November. As you see, amounts to at the bottom of 108 and the top of page 109 is $81,892.52. Work completed, again, at the top of page 109 is $2,169,714.14. And then if you'll go back, excuse me, to page 106, quickly going through that, you see the original contract amount of $2,266,700. That work completed that we just talked about, which constitutes 95% of the contract cost of $2,169,704.14, less the retainage of 5% of $108,485.21, less the previous payments, makes the amount due on this pay application $77,797.89. I would recommend your approval of pay application number 9, and happy to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Jim? All right, council. Unless there's any questions, I would look for a motion support to approve pay application number 9.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Jed.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Again, Merry Christmas.
Travel safe.
Thanks, Jim.
All right, and now we will go into recess into Truth and Taxation. It is 6:01. And Devin, you were going to present for us?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. You can say that if you Jim Con's sticking around for him all time.
Go buy a lottery ticket.
First time.
So I prepared a presentation for the Truth and Taxation meeting.
He's got
one.
And I'm going to drop it when I'm done. This is a Truth and Taxation meeting. It's an opportunity for the public to give their input on the levy and the budget. I prepared a slideshow, and I'm just going to start buzzing through it, and I'll provide an opportunity for public to ask questions if anybody wants to do so. So our agenda is welcome. I'll introduce myself. We're going to go over through the Truth and Taxation requirements, then the general fund budget, capital expenditures, the proposed tax levy, and then conclude with a Q&A at the end. So I'm Devin Segler. I'm the clerk treasurer here in Chisholm, and I've provided my number and email address, and I encourage any residents that have questions about their taxes to please contact me, and I'll be gladly to go through them with you. Truth and Taxation and property taxes. The meeting must be held after November 24th and no later than December 30th. So here we are on December 11th. Taxing authorities are required to hold this meeting to discuss the budget and levy and to give the public time to speak. Property owners in Chisholm should have received their proposed property tax statements based on the initial levy that was set at 10%. City levy. This is used to calculate property taxes and spread amongst taxpayers. Levy consists of the general fund portion and a debt service portion, which is used to levy for bonds that were issued previously. Property tax levy is reduced by fiscal disparities, which I'm going to go into detail further in this presentation. Fluctuations in fiscal disparities, changes in the tax base, property valuation adjustments, total assessed market value, homestead credits, all of those come into account when calculating a parcel's tax. So the general fund levy. This slide is the budgeted general fund revenues as presented with a 0% increase in the levy. It also provides a percentage of the total revenues that each line item represents of the total fund. So really the primary, or the most prominent revenue source is LGA, local government aid. And then next is property taxes. And as you can see on this slide, I broke out property taxes that's actually spread to our tax base in Chisholm, and the other portion that's actually fiscal disparities. If we didn't have that fiscal disparities, the total amount would be spread to the tax base. This is a visual of those same numbers and kind of gives an idea of where the revenue for the general fund comes from. Primarily from local government aid and taxes, as I said. 2025 budgeted general fund expenditures. These are the primary departments in the general fund. As you can see, general government is 13%, public safety 46.6. However, as everybody knows here, we have ambulance, we have a fire department, we have police department, all under that umbrella of public safety. So just that it's understood, that's why that percentage is so high. Public works, roughly 13%, culture and recreation, roughly 13%, while the rest are under 5%. This is the same kind of visual aid to show expenditures for departments and where the majority of the general fund expenditures are being reported. Then this is a little bit deeper dive into those same numbers. I'm just going to point out a couple things on here. I know I discussed it with council in our working sessions, but for taxes, the first line item, it looks as though it's up significantly from the previous year, but that's just because we're going to code all of our general fund levy revenue in the general fund and make transfers to any capital projects funds from there. As in the past, it was coded directly to those capital projects fund. The levy was coded directly there. So that's the difference. And you'll see in my slides further down, I'll point that out of how that transfer is working. So here it looks like revenues are higher, although that's not the case because they were just coded and spread amongst the funds differently in the past. Other financing, we discussed earlier in the meeting about new ambulance and the public safety aid that was received in previous years. Under other financing sources, that's where that aid is going to get transferred from our capital projects fund into the general fund to fund the purchase of the ambulance in 2025. Next. So underneath the revenues, then we get to the general government expenditures. No major changes there. The next is detail of the public safety department. Two things to keep in mind. In the public safety department, there's a new public safety building. We have our line item for that, for utilities and maintenance, that sort of thing for the public safety building. And included in the ambulance services is the purchase of that ambulance, which is funded by that aid that's coming in and the aid that we received previous. Public Works is the next department, relatively the same. The next page we have culture and rec, and it goes through multiple line items. The football field is being sent to the school, so we don't have a line item budgeted for that. And economic development, that's pretty similar to previous years. Then this other department, which has cemetery, insurance, miscellaneous, other financing uses. Cemetery is pretty much the same. Insurance, that is the insurance that we're paying for retirees. That has continued to climb as more and more retirees or more and more employees are retiring, and the cost of health insurance is going up. However, I believe that we're getting towards the peak, if we're not already at the peak of those expenditures. So that's one of the goals in the coming year is to get a game plan for funding that through some of the reserves that the city has set aside. As I previously mentioned, how we're going to be coding taxes is we're going to code all the general fund taxes in the general fund and make transfers. So under other financing uses, you can see there's $309 in other financing uses. Included in that are transfers to capital projects funds and a debt payment for a loader, I believe. So at the bottom of the page, there's a surplus and deficit. I got that on another slide coming up. These are the transfers from that from the general fund to the capital projects fund. Further in my slides, I'll go through the capital projects funds and how those are being financed and how we're going to report them going forward. But as for budgeted transfers from the general fund to capital projects fund, we have $250,000 going to the Arena Curling Club and $75,000 to Mill and Overlay Capital Projects Fund, which funds street projects. So this is a recap of total revenues and total expenditures with a 0% levy increase. And so we're looking at a deficit of $99,499. Levy increase. The previous 5-year average is a 6.6% levy increase. The slide shows what the deficit would be at a 1% increase in the levy, 5%, 10%, etc. A 1% increase in the levy is equal to $22,670. So for each percentage, that's roughly how much the city will be increasing its revenue by. Fiscal disparities. This is probably the most important slide, and I apologize because I did change one thing from the paper documents to this one, and it's the 2023 final levy. And while I was prepping for this, I was thinking, well, I kind of need 2023 because it shows the impact that fiscal disparities has on what gets spread to the tax base. So as you can see in orange, there's that fiscal disparities line. In 2023, the city received $689,635 in fiscal disparities. So that amount gets taken off the total certified levy because it comes in as fiscal disparities. And then down below in blue, that's what gets spread to the tax base. So in 2024, even though there was a 5% increase in the levy, many of the citizens never felt the burden of that additional levy because there was more funds received in fiscal disparities. So that it more than offset the increase in the levy. Then come to 2025, our fiscal disparities dropped. So now, even if in 2025, you can see it's a 0% increase in that levy, the taxpayers are going to feel more of a burden simply because those fiscal disparities have decreased. Fiscal disparities are calculated by the county. It's basically a portion of all commercial properties in the Iron Range taxing district get assessed, and that money is spread amongst all the communities based on their calculation. Really, we have no control over it, and the best we can do is try to mitigate the fluctuations from year to year by either reducing or increasing our levy as we see fit. But from 2023 to 2024, there was a 5% levy increase, which is what we're probably recommending today, or what I would recommend today. And that's the reason why maybe taxpayers are going to feel it more, is because they're feeling the 5% and the reduction in fiscal disparities. This is, sorry, it's pretty small. Basically, this is just my formula to determine where the levy should be set. As I mentioned before, we got like a $99,000 deficit budgeted right now at a 0% increase. So at the bottom of this chart is basically anything in red. We're still operating at a deficit And so pretty much 5% is our break even or slight surplus. Debt service fund budget summary. I don't need to spend a lot of time on this. We have debt that is eligible to be levied for. We have to levy those principal and interest debt payments at 105% of that amount. So that's the reason for the debt service levy. Capital projects fund. Permanent improvement capital projects, one and the same. Fund 401 was previously utilized. As I've mentioned before, I'd like to break out 401 and have separate capital projects funds for major capital projects, and you'll see that in the coming slides. So as you can see, in 2025, we have nothing budgeted in 401 except for that one transfer out, which is the public safety aid that is getting transferred to the general fund to pay for the ambulance. Arena Curling Club Capital Projects Fund 402. So this is probably, well, it is one of the projects that's going to be ramped up here in 2025. And the intergovernmental line is grants, aids, bonding, basically nothing to do with the general fund or the general levy. That transfer in, the 250 we went over before, that's the portion that's coming from the general fund to fund a small portion of that $5.7 million project. 2025 Mill and Overlay Capital Projects Fund. This is where we'll see that other transfer in and our other budgeted items. State aid we typically get in there, and then we do special assessments. Co-op road improvement capital projects funds, that's intergovernmental revenue. That's other aid which doesn't necessarily directly affect the general fund levy. The 2025 Fifth Street project. This one is showing a deficit now because we'll likely need to go out for PFA funding, similar to the 2024 Fifth Street project. And the Redhead Capital Projects Fund is 414, and we have some grants that we were awarded here, and that's basically what this is reporting. So, as I mentioned before, 5% levy increase would cover the deficit. Additional consideration should be given to declining infrastructure, maintaining a reserve fund balance, and future capital improvements that may require funding if the council had decided that you wanted to go higher. But 5% is pretty much what we would recommend. I did, before public input, I did receive a letter from Elaine Segan. I don't know if you'd like me to read the entire thing or just give you a Cliff Notes version. She's concerned about the tax rates on specifically her property, and from my experience and just looking at other communities around the area, there's a declining middle of the road tax base, let's say, and all property values have basically nearly doubled across the entire range, and the houses that once were $250,000 are now $500,000, and their tax burden has doubled. There is limited resources for high market value assessed properties like that, because like the homestead credit it starts decreasing after your property value is over 96,000, and it completely phases out when your property value gets to 500,000. So there's limited relief for some of these homes, and typically the burden is not the working class because they're able to continue to work. It's the fixed income elderly that are on this fixed income that get hit with a higher tax burden. And I guess that's the problem with value-based tax. Maybe that's kind of what she was getting at. I am going to reach back out to her because I did take notes and go through her entire letter. But if you'd like me to share it, and
I don't think you need to read the entire letter, but if you want to expand on what you just said, or if what you just said is...
that sums it up. And she did reach out to multiple politicians. Well, Spencer Reichel was one of them. Dave Lisselgaard, she provided letters and correspondence with him. And he provided, some information of what he's been doing. But like I mentioned, it doesn't necessarily provide citizens in her situation the relief that she's probably looking for.
Right. And just so I know, Representative Lisselgaard is on the Property Tax Committee, and he really fought to help the LGA get back up to where it was, increase that in that aspect. But other than that, the relief for the higher value home is just not really there.
Right, and that was one of the things, like LGA did increase, and it increased from 23 to 24, but our budgeted LGA funding is pretty much stagnant from 24 to 25. And then, as I mentioned, that most important slide that I showed is that fiscal disparities and that dropping. So it's like, without levy increase, taxpayers are going to feel a burden of 7% right off the bat without any sort of increase. It's difficult because we have limited control, and really we find out what our fiscal disparities number is going to be 3 months ago. So it's kind of hard to budget for 2 years from now when we just find out what it's going to be 3 months ago.
Okay, any input for public participation? Is that where we are, Devin?
Yes.
Yeah. Anybody here? I see a few new faces in the audience. I can imagine that some input is coming. Okay.
Yes, I'd like to say something.
Absolutely. Would you like to come up to the podium so everybody at home gets to hear you? No? Okay.
It's very neat to be at a council meeting. I've never really been at one. And I don't come up here to complain ever and so forth, but the young man there kind of hit the nail on the head, okay? Proposed taxes, look at my property tax, and it's increased tremendously, okay? And, this is Chisholm, okay? So you tell me what house in Chisholm is worth, what you think my house is worth, okay? Because you just don't sell a house for that in Chisholm. And, you're burdening some taxpayers with a higher tax bill per month than most people's mortgages. And for myself, I'm not saying anything other than I don't have an alley behind my house. That road I have is akin to the Ho Chi Minh Trail after a B-52 strike in 1967, okay? And that's fine, whatever, but still. I don't understand how it can go up that much. And obviously there's other people in the same boat. So what you're trying to say is some people are in a position that there's no relief for, or you're in a position that ostensibly makes your house taxes very difficult to live in a house. If someone had a mortgage on it, holy smokes, what would you do? Okay, so I'm just want to know why, and if there's anything that can be done for people in this situation. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. I'd just like to say that, it's definitely not a fair and equitable system. You call 911, you get the same services as anybody else, no matter what value of the house. You have the same plow coming by the front of your house, the water gets to your house the same way, the sewage leaves the same way. So it's not, when I first got on there and I had my first budget meeting, we went through here and I was like, wow, if everybody at least paid $1,000 a year, if that was the base, but that would help expand. But now we're there, but now everybody else that was even higher is now even higher again. So it keeps growing. Devin, if you'd like to maybe answer some of those. Obviously, we don't control a lot of that, but the...
Sure. Well, because, I mean, if you take a house that was 4 years ago was worth $20,000 and you double the price, that tax burden with the homestead credit and homestead exclusion really is not going to get to that $1,000. Whereas a $200,000 house that doubles in value, they're going to meet all of those exclusions, and a $515 credit is not going to go very far. Because when your tax doubles, say that $200,000 property was paying $3,000 4 years ago and now it's $6,000. Well, it's still, a $500 credit is not going to go very far when your taxes went up $3,000, as opposed to a lower market value property that doesn't have the same burden, because that credit goes a lot further for a smaller or a less valued house, such as like the $20,000 house in my first example. As I started out this presentation, I am more than willing to help understand or help anybody understand the tax calculations. And I think, well, Elaine, in her letter, she's barking up the right tree in that if you want to make a fundamental change about how taxes are being spread and calculated, you got to go to the people in office. What we can control here at the city is a levy. What we can't control are the fiscal disparities. We can't control what your house's market value is. That's set by the county and the county assessor. I mean, I guess by coming to this meeting, the one thing that the council could do is control this levy increase. That's not going to change the market value of your property.
So obviously, and we set it at 10% preliminary, so hopefully we can lower it here tonight. Right. So obviously, dropping it, cutting that in half, 5%, maybe 4.38901 is actually what would get us to exactly 99, what our deficit is. But, obviously with the fiscal disparities dropping, you're going to see an increase right off the bat anyway. So there's going to be a lot of sticker shock on there that whenever we do set this tonight, hopefully you see some relief, but that does not answer any of your questions. It is not fair and equitable, and it's not going to help out. And it doesn't, when I would talk to Representative Luzegard, I believe there's 9 different committees in the, that run the property taxes and trying to get something changed. Well, but anybody else from the public? Hi, Council, we have met a couple times. At the last meeting, working session that we had, I was absent, but I would believe that the conversation kind of centered around lowering this as much as we can. So any more input? Questions? No? We just reconvene, right? Okay, if nothing else, we'll reconvene our regular meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Mr. Folstad. Larry, good evening.
Mayor, Council, before you, I ask for your support of resolution number 1224-100, accepting donation of 3,000 tons of coarse tailings and support for the thank you letters for Having Taconite. In previous years, we've done this as well. We make a request of them. This is waste material for them, so it's not really of much value to them, but it's very valuable to us. And being it's a waste product to them and so helpful for us, we were super excited about it. We don't have a pit. The city of Chisholm doesn't have a pit, so everything we use within the city is bought and brought in. So this is free and certainly helps the taxpayer and the utility payer as well. So we've used we just finished hauling it about a month ago, and we used a couple loads of it on that water dig on Monday, and just nice to have, so.
Absolutely.
And we thank Hibbing Taconite, they've been a huge supporter of us. A lot of their employees and such live within Chisholm. And then Hoover Construction is the outfit that hauls the material for Hibbing Taconite. And then the local union, 2705 here, which has a union office right down on Lake Street here, they support it as well and allow us to come on the property to get it, so.
Excellent.
Yeah. So with that, I ask for your support in Resolution 1224-100.
Council, I'd look for a motion in support and send a thank you letter. So, absolutely, put that up on the board.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Jed.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Larry. Thanks, Larry.
Trails, Parks. Russo.
On
Bridget,
page 116 is a resolution. I'm requesting to apply to the Minnesota DNR's Federal Recreational Trail Program for $200,000 for maintenance projects at Redhead, which include capping projects. We have spoken with the DNR, and this was the recommended grant for maintenance to apply to.
Okay. Thank you. I'll look for a motion in support for Resolution 1224-101.
Make the motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne.
Second.
Thank you, Marty. Just a quick question for Brian. I know at that one meeting we had, one of the individuals, the landowners, said be wary of the federal dollars that you use for projects out there because it can create some issues moving forward. Is this one of those?
So at this point, I understand we're just making application.
Yeah, this is a request to make application, and I have not yet, it's not posted. I'm waiting for it to be posted so I can read some of that fine print on the expectations of their grant dollars. So I might pull back out if there's a reason to.
And Mayor, that would be the response I would give, is we would need to see some of the details of the program, but by making applications, so long as we're able to withdraw our application, we wouldn't be harmed, we wouldn't create any liabilities simply by applying.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. On page 118 is a contract with Bar Engineering. This is an additional design and mapping support contract. We had our first RFP submitted in 2024 with various trails designed, but it wasn't all of the trails that we had predetermined that we wanted built under LCCMAR. So this is a second trail building RFP that the city will put out, and we do need Bar Engineering to do the work to get the documents correct to present to the trail builders for this RFP.
An estimated cost, $2,500.
$2,500.
Okay, Council, I'll look for a motion to enter a contract with Bar.
Make the motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne.
Support.
Thank you, Travis. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bridget.
Thank you, Bridget. Okay, next, Katie. Ms. Christensen, Library Supervisor.
Hi.
Good evening.
Good evening. Simply just looking to adopt a resolution to accept a $500 donation from the Evelyn Elks that would have been used towards the Bringing Light to Chisholm event for this year.
Excellent. Well, thank you. And to the Elks, I'd look for a motion to approve Resolution 1224-102.
Make the motion.
Thank you, Marty.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Any further discussion? Sure, I think your letter already went out.
It did.
Yeah?
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Okay, Devin. Welcome back.
So my first task is resolution number 1224-103, final tax levy for 2025 and establishing the governmental funds budget for 2025. So this the attachment may look familiar because that's what I used for my presentation. It is the whole general fund revenue and expenditure budget for 2025 and the remaining permanent improvement funds budget for 2025. So, we need to send a final levy certification to the county by the 31st, and it's recommended that the city set the levy increase and budget to be certified to the county. As we mentioned in our working session, if more time is needed, we're going to set another meeting on December 30th.
Hey, council. Obviously, we have some concerns. At the end of the day, we do have some, projects that we need to accomplish. I know we can probably cut this down. I believe the suggestion was 5%. What are your thoughts?
I favor 5%.
Yeah, I don't know. I've thought a lot about this. I mean, I am certainly not going to buck 5%. I'm not necessarily sure I'm comfortable with only a small margin of error with things that could come up, maintenance-wise or otherwise. But, the sticker shock is real. Like, I got my taxes just like everybody else did, and seeing, understanding the fiscal disparities, being sitting here for the last couple of years, that you take it sucks. I mean, because we have no control over it, and that, along with a few other things. I think 5% is probably the right thing to do. I just am a little hesitant just because it really is a small buffer of, one bad water break or just something, and then we're in the deficit. So, those are my thoughts. I mean, I'm not going to buck a 5%. I wouldn't buck a 6 or 7% either.
May I speak to that, I guess? So the city does have reserves, so it's not like if, a $500,000, like, whatever bill comes in the mail. It's not like we're going to be, like, filing for bankruptcy.
Oh, right.
So that could ease. What this levy set is basically for operations of the city. That's what I plan on doing going forward, is setting aside those reserves and saying, here's how much is reached. We do have a fund balance policy that keeps, I believe it's 60% of 6 months. Oh, 6 months. Okay. I knew there's a 6 in there anyway. Of next year's operating budgets on reserve. Right. So I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that. And sorry, I'm kicking myself because I didn't mention it during the truth and taxation meeting. There is relief for certain requirements you have to meet, like being 65 or a disabled vet or certain things where you can go to the county and file for deferment of taxes. I wish I would have said that earlier, but I guess no time like the present anyway. So I guess I just wanted to get that in there for anybody that is concerned about their tax burden.
Yep. Jed, Shane?
Well, I feel a pain too. I mean, my taxes are through the roof, and the guy across the alley pays a third of what I pay. Use the same alley, use the same garbage truck, all that stuff is frustrating. But our streets in this town are very crappy. We have to keep fixing stuff and repairing stuff, and we have to keep moving forward. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts, but we need to bark up the tree higher to our legislature and get stuff changed. All this season iron range need to do that, even the public. Elections matter. So I favor 5% as well.
I'm comfortable with 5%.
I will say, on the plus side, I mean, I will say this, if you drive around this town, it is very noticeable how much change we have made in these last 4 years, during this term. Like, nobody can sit there and say, we're just raising taxes to raise taxes. Like, you can visually see this is a different town than it was. And that's kudos to the staff and everybody else. But, yeah, I mean, we have to move forward, and we are moving forward, and we are a leader on the range in moving forward in our vision and stuff. So it's hard, but our goal is always to look at the future and what the future is in store for us, and we have big plans for Chisholm. So I'll say that much.
Absolutely. We're leaving a lot of great things for the ones that come after us. So I'd look for a motion to set the levy at 5%.
Make the motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne.
Support.
Thank you, Jed. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Next is Resolution 1224-104, adopting 2025 enterprise funds budget. We already approved the rate increases. I believe this is just a formal resolution to adopt the budgets of the enterprise funds.
Okay. Thank you, Council. If there's no questions, I'd look for a motion to approve Resolution 1224-104.
Make the motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne.
Second.
Thank you, Marty. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Then we have
skip the fee schedule here, so we'll move to page 136.
Yes. So, we had 3 applications for special assessment deferrals. And this was kind of new to me, so I did do a lot of learning. We have a resolution that was passed in 2014 for applications to be made to the city to meet certain requirements to defer the special assessments. So we had alleys and then the Fifth Street project. And we had 3 applicants. And both applicant 1 and 2 met all the requirements of A, B, C, D, and E. However, when I did their calculation for the average annual payment, all the calculation in letter F, they didn't meet that requirement. And based on this resolution, if they don't meet it, the city is, I guess, should deny based on this assessment deferral policy and by not meeting that requirement. I do have the information if you need more detail to make a decision. Then applicant 3. So this one was quite a bit different than the first 2. This deferral policy, I kind of had to read through and not make assumptions, but there's in that section F, it requires that we have the most recent federal income tax return to pick out the line item for adjusted gross income, which not everybody's going to have that. So for the 3rd applicant, I did receive a statement showing income and pay stub. Also, I talked to Attorney Lindsay before the meeting, and if we get a signed affidavit, and I think that would suffice, and this applicant would meet all the requirements for deferral. So, if more information, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, if more information is needed, per this resolution from 2014, it needs to go in front of you guys, and if more information is needed, we can collect more and then rediscuss it at the next meeting.
Okay. Attorney Lindsay. So for applicant, I think, does anyone have any questions about applicants number 1 and 2? No. I think if they don't meet the
You
policy.
just look, how do you calculate F? I guess would be my only question. Is it just their adjusted gross income, just that number? And then you have some sort of chart based off of that?
Yeah, so we get their adjusted gross income. It is, multiply that by 2%, you get that number. And if whatever their special assessments are, say they're, for simplistic sake, $1,000 that we assess them. It's over 10 years. Divide that by 10, so their assessment's $100 a year. As long as 2% of their adjusted gross income is over that $100, then they do not qualify.
Okay.
If their 2% of their AGI is underneath that, then they would meet this requirement.
Okay,
or this
very good.
resolution.
Thank you.
Thank you, Travis. So with the, so the signed affidavit would just be confirming or just making?
Yep. So, Mayor, if I may, so, not everybody is required to file a tax return if you make under a certain amount, but if that is the case, they should confirm to us that it is the case. A sworn affidavit would be a good tool to do that, and they could also obtain a tax transcript, I believe it's called, that would show the past couple of years that they either did or didn't, and it would show basically their tax payment history. So if we were to receive an affidavit that provided verified and sworn confirmation that those things, that the information provided was true, and perhaps provided along with that a true and correct copy of a tax transcript that was produced within the last year, that would satisfy the requirement. I think we would be in a difficult place to say you can't apply for this tax deferral because you make so little money that you're not required to file the tax return.
But at least we're doing due diligence because there's a way to confirm it.
Yep.
Okay. So how would we move through, would we need a motion for each one of the applicants? Or do we just skip 1 and 2 if they don't meet, or do we have to actually vote on that?
I think if there were 1 and 2, if the determination was that they did not meet the qualification for the deferral, I think you could lump those into one motion to deny their requests. If the third either meets or if there's additional questions, the council could do a couple of things. You could refer it back to our clerk treasurer to deliver more information or to deliver that affidavit with the tax transcript, or it could be approved contingent upon the satisfaction of that requirement.
Okay. All right, so just to clean up the first ones, unless there's any discussion needed, I would look for a motion to deny the request for applicant number 1 and 2.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Travis.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, council, I would, it'd be my opinion, I would suggest that we make a motion in support for approving applicants number 3 with contingent upon a signed affidavit and a tax transcript that verifies the information to our clerk treasurer.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne.
Support.
Thank you, Travis. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Devin. Okay, Stephanie.
Good evening. The next item you have in your agenda is a building lease agreement for the Fire Hall Police Station. We've had some interest from film production to film in that space. The Lost 40 studio is already committed to a different film during this timeline. What's in your packet here is a lease agreement that I've worked with Attorney Lindsay on, just for that building itself. Then what I would add into that would be, depending on the film and the time frame that they would be with us, then that terms would change based on the payment. But for this particular film, it'd be $12,000 a month. What we'd also want to add in there is cleaning and inspection on departing, and payment, if there's late payment, to add interest to it. We do have Henry here with us today. He did scout the facility. I don't know if you want to add a little bit to if there's other interests you have. I know you talked a little bit about painting potentially some of the building, or
Yeah, please. Everybody at home knows what's going on too. And I don't have to answer questions more than once.
Hi, I'm Henry. My work locations for film and TV production, been doing it since 2008. I was hired by this production for the next 2 weeks, but also probably be on phone calls and whatnot throughout. So with the rental of the space, what would they like to do? And this is very preliminary. A lot of these could change, be added, subtracted, what have you, but they are they would want to paint the walls, construct fake like bars and cells on the second floor, and all the workout equipment, which would be removed. I believe they're going to make a bullpen for a police station, a sheriff's station. So pretty much transforming it into an active small town sheriff's station where the bulk of the film takes place. Obviously, there will also be some cleanup because it's dirty, dusty, what have you. We deal with that, we work it out. And I do not know the schedule yet, both of the timeline that they're going to be filming, as well as the timeline for their prep and their restoration and wrap out. That will come later. Our producers will hire what we call the first assistant director, and he's in charge of scheduling and stuff like that.
Yeah, so right now we're just looking for support from the council to be able to look at leasing that building out. I do believe, though, with conversations, that timeline would not go into summer.
No.
So it would be a...
Yeah, the setting of this film was winter, but it got pushed through financial reasons, what have you. So they're planning to do this in April, is when they're planning to film. They will not go during summer because it pretty much changes the entire visual look from, the look of winter to green trees and forestation. It's kind of a different vibe than what they want.
Well, I guess I hope there's still snow in April. Not really hoping for it.
Let's be honest, we always get a snowstorm in April.
That's true.
I call it the winter hangover.
Yeah. Council, I look for a motion to approve the lease agreement for the fire police station.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Thank you, Travis. Support.
Okay.
Any further discussion?
I got one question.
Yep.
Being that building's historical, do we have to identify anything in a lease agreement like that? Outside of it?
Mr. Mayor.
Is it historical?
I'm not sure if it's on the registry, but
It's in the district.
It's in the district.
The primary requirements would be not altering the exterior appearance. And so changes to the interior, I'll confirm it, but changes to the interior should be permissible. And it's temporary.
Yeah, I believe the only things that they would want to change in the exterior would be signage. It's a different town. Chisholm won't be named. It is a horror thriller film, so it takes place in a made-up town in Minnesota. So that would probably be the only change, and that is a temporary, signage.
Okay. Perfect. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck. Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, do you mind if I just talk about film production for a moment?
Yes, go ahead.
I would first like to thank you for having me today. I want to talk just briefly about film production. I've worked a long time, too long, with a lot of new towns and areas. I come from the New York region, that area. But when a production comes to a town, this is a small independent film or a large studio film, what you would generally see is a big boom in local economy, more or less because when our prep crew comes in to clean up and change around this police station, they're going to be eating at the local restaurants, getting coffee from the local cafes, going to the hardware store to picking up supplies, and so forth and so forth. We are committed to using local vendors, not just because it's prudent for the tax incentive and tax rebates of the state, but also because logistically it's right here and it's a way to promote film production in an area. It's something I'm firmly a big believer in, something I support, and we try to get the local community as involved as possible, especially since we're not here just for a day. We're going to be here for a good chunk of time. So
absolutely, we appreciate you, and we've had a couple. I can't remember what the ratio is of what for what comes into the community, but I know it's hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And I will say also the last 2 years have been very slow in the film production world due to an industry-wide strike you might have heard about. It is finally now starting to pick up. It's been industry-wide, nationwide, very slow, and I'm very happy to be a part of it coming back in areas like this. So,
welcome to Chisholm.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on.
The next item I have on the agenda is we did have a request from city staff to change the hours of would be the city buildings that are open during Christmas Eve. Currently, our Christmas Eve is not a holiday observed in any of our union contracts. I did have that question, so I just want to make sure that that is known. The request was to change the hours to 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. And have staff work during those times. We do have 2 supervisors that would supervise staff that fall under those requirements. We do have flexibility in the AFSCME contract that with approval of supervisors, they can flex hours also. So this request would be for the closure of the city buildings because we already have the flexibility on our supervisor side to flex their hours. I just want to make that clear.
All right, Council, I'm not sure how everyone else feels about this. I know I did have a couple questions I asked Brian. I know in dating back to like 2019, we have done something like this before when we actually moved the date of a holiday. I was reserved then. I was a very fresh city councilor. Maybe I was a little too timid where I didn't want to speak up, but I thought it was, kind of absurd that we were going to be letting someone celebrate, take off a Friday instead of the holiday that was on Wednesday. I believe it was a Veterans Day, and we just let them flex that and move it. I believe that this is probably something that could be negotiated in future contracts if this is something that's needed. I'm not sure how many people are going to be coming in at 5 a.m. to pay their water bill. But I just have a little reservations kind of doing this, and I'm not sure how you all feel, but if Brian wants to go into any detail about what he thinks about negotiations or what you feel about opening and closing. I know people do have vacation they can burn, not too keen on just changing the times to alleviate that need. But that's just me.
Yeah, I guess I agree with you. I mean, I'm not going to get up at 5 a.m. and, mine, obviously I have an auto pay, but some people do not have that auto pay. And not that I'm opposed to the changing of times, but 5 a.m. is awfully early. I mean, I don't think anybody in this town is going to come here at 5 a.m. But
I see it less as I understand that the building is open 5 to 1, but I think that's more to accommodate the schedule change because there isn't the language that allows them the day off or part of the day off. I'm inclined to allow it because we can set our city hall office hours, and I don't imagine that Christmas Eve is one of the busier days of the year for people to come and pay their bills. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think when you can do nice things, you should.
Jen, any? Marty, any? Brian?
Yeah, I think the ask, as I understand it before the council, is whether the council will agree to change the hours of the building.
Yep, that's correct. Yeah, because like I said, it's in their contract that they can flex hours. That can be discretion of the supervisor. It's the question of changing the hours of operation.
I feel like most businesses adjust their hours for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
I'm in the Christmas spirit. It's fine. I'm not going to argue it.
Normal hours would be 7 to
4.
4.
It's on what, Tuesday? Christmas is on Wednesday. Usually our Friday is till noon.
Yep.
Anyway, Friday is till noon. I mean, I'd like to see a, well, no, I guess that doesn't matter. We just have to change the hours, right? So negotiating it is.
Well, you could do, what could happen, because right now, so like Thursday and Friday after Thanksgiving is considered a holiday that they receive. So it could be negotiated into a contract moving forward, where that would be an observed holiday. Like what other places do sometimes is they take away a different holiday and they add that as a, there's just different ways to do it, I guess, so.
Yeah. I don't have an issue with it. I'd be fine with it.
I tend to stick by the contract. I mean, my job, I can't leave early. We have hours you have to work. Unless you leave early, you don't get paid. Or you use burn vacation.
They're working their hours. They're working their hours.
No, I know they're still putting hours, but still you come in early, leaving early, kept in. So we have to operate 7 to 3, 3 to 11, 11 to 7. But being, I think we should, okay this time, but for future, we should negotiate it.
Do we need a motion to approve it?
We would need, if somebody would like to make one.
And Mayor, I think the other thing, kind of what I'm hearing in the conversation is about the shift in hours. I mean, closing early and opening early are two different things. I mean, if there's flexibility within the contract to flex or to change the hours slightly, the city council is making a decision about what hours it wants its building to be open. If we don't think that people are going to come down at 5 o'clock to pay their bills, the city doesn't have to say we're going to open the building to the public at 5 o'clock. We can maintain the hours and agree to close the building early. But you don't necessarily have to open it that much earlier on the other end of it.
Yeah.
Well, it's just, again, so it's opening 2 hours earlier so they can leave early and still get their 8 hours with opening vacation.
Well, they could come at 5 and not open the building till normal hours. So this would be the library and city hall would close at 1 o'clock.
Okay. Somebody want to make a motion to allow the city to close the buildings at 1 p.m. on Christmas Eve?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne.
Second.
Thank you, Marty. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving on. Application for the Airport Authority. We have one applicant here. So I would look for a motion to appoint Terry Samsa to the Airport Authority.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Travis.
Support.
Thank you, Jed. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And one applicant for the Central Iron Range Sanitary Sewer District. I would look for a motion, resolution 1224-105, and reappoint Larry Pervenanzi to the CIRSSD.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne.
Support.
Thank you, Travis. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on. It's cigarette license applications. We have the list here. So we just need to approve the licenses there. Okay. Contingent upon meeting all state local requirements. I look for a motion to approve these cigarette and tobacco licenses contingent upon meeting all state and local requirements.
Make the motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne.
Second.
Thank you, Jed. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, schedule reorganizational meeting for January 7th, 2025. Tuesday, the first Tuesday in January, 5:30 p.m. I would look for that motion.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Travis.
Support.
Thank you, Jed. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Last thing, council, would be a request from the Chisholm Food Shelf, looking for a donation of $1,000 to assist with purchasing food over the holiday season. Great organization and a great opportunity. Again, this will come out of our gambling funds.
Yes, it will.
So I'd look for a motion to approve the request.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne.
Support.
Thank you, Jed. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I just have two quick mentions. Well, no, one, because I was going to ask about the gambling funds. The second one is, I would like to ask, maybe you can ask Marcy, but do they also ask the surrounding communities?
They do.
For the same amount of money?
There is a request to be at the same amount of money, and then some of the smaller communities is a smaller request.
Perfect.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, then we just need to make note of our meeting if we're gonna have it on.
Yeah, we could mention it, but posting is what makes it official.
Post it? Okay.
I'm gonna do December 30th.
Excuse me?
December 30th.
Yeah, December 30th. We will be posting for a meeting December 30th, Monday, for a second meeting. So Bridget has some stuff she's moving forward. If there's anything else in between, we'll have it at that meeting.
What time is that?
5:30, Monday, December 30th.
You need signatures on that?
Okay.
You just moved the meeting? The meeting to the 30th?
Because the other one's on Christmas.
Yeah, so we just moved it to the 30th.
Yep. Yes.
Because of you.
Okay, other than that, we don't need a motion to post or anything, right? Okay, look for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Jed.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. One more. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Everyone have a good night. Meeting adjourned.
Well, I wasn't sure.